We've already had quite a few heavy hitter anime this year, but easily one of the best anime to come out this year would be Delicious in Dungeon, which you can now watch the entire first season of on Netflix. Without getting into any major plot details, Delicious in Dungeon begins with our main group during a failed journey into the dungeon. With their lives on the line, Falin uses a spell to teleport everyone back to the surface. However, they all realise that Falin herself has not teleported back with them due to being eaten by the red dragon that defeated her. Fortunately, it is possible to be revived in the dungeon, meaning that Falin can be saved. Unfortunately though, resurrection is not guaranteed, as the body can only take so much damage before it is impossible to resurrect them, and being digested would certainly exceed that limit. So Laios, Falin's brother and leader of the group, Marcille, an elf mage, and Chilchuck, a half-foot, all race down into the dungeon with the hope of defeating the red dragon and saving Falin before it's too late. But the group is lacking in supplies, namely food, so to deal with this dilemma, the group reluctantly, aside from Laios, who had always wanted to eat monsters, decide to eat the creatures running around the dungeon. A feat only achievable due to them running against the dwarf, Senshi, someone who has spent years cooking and eating the monsters in the dungeon. This allows the group to not only get the required nutrients for the important journey, but also have a genuinely delicious meal due to the talent of Senshi. Hence the name of the anime, Delicious in Dungeon, or its Japanese name, Dungeon Meshi, which literally translates to dungeon food or dungeon meal. Now I know a lot of people refer to this show as Dungeon Meshi, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to refer to this show as Delicious in Dungeon. That's just how I personally refer to the show. I've only just started getting into manga. I'm literally reading my first ever manga right now, Berserk, currently making my way through the Black Swordsman arc, but the point is, I'm nowhere near as into manga as I am anime. And I know that a lot of manga readers refer to the manga for this anime as Dungeon Meshi, but I've always been someone who refers to anime with their English title, and that won't change now. I call Attack on Titan, not Shingeki no Kyojin, and I call My Hero Academia, not Boku no Pico. It's the same with Delicious in Dungeon for me. And with that potential issue put to rest, I think it's about time that we spoke about what makes Delicious in Dungeon a true gourmet meal. Studio Trigger is a truly fantastic studio, with every single one of their works being endowed with some of the most consistently beautiful animation that you could ever hope to witness. However, and I'll be honest here, I've never really been a big fan of the studio, and that's completely to do with the stories for their anime. I believe that every anime that Studio Trigger has made before Delicious in Dungeon has been an original work, and this is their first time adapting a manga. Studio Trigger may have some fantastic animators, but the people in charge of their stories, let's just say that I don't think that they are as strong. Now admittedly, I've not seen every Studio Trigger anime, including two of their more popular works, Little Witch Academia and Gridman. So maybe I'd have a more favourable opinion of the studio if I'd seen those works. But what I have seen from this studio has often left me very underwhelmed. And I'm including Kill la Kill in that too, which I really don't like. I think it starts really strong, but then becomes too nonsensical by the end, and the mum character and what she does to her daughter really ruined it for me. Fortunately, Trigger really turned things around for me with Cyberpunk Edgerunners. I've already made a video on Cyberpunk Edgerunners, so I'm not going to sing its praises again here. But Cyberpunk Edgerunners really showcased how good Studio Trigger could be if they actually had a narrative that could match the high quality of the anime's animation. And manga readers kept promising that Delicious in Dungeon's story was really good, and luckily for us, they were absolutely right. Now it's important to know that Delicious in Dungeon is a slow burn anime. It takes its time slowly building itself up. It's very possible that, like me, you'll end up a little disappointed by the first few episodes and wonder what people see in this series. To use what may be the first of many food analogies in this video, the first few episodes of the anime is the show slowly preparing the ingredients, washing them, cutting them, adding them to the saucepan, and all you need to do is sit back and let them cook. Because they absolutely did with this series. Every element of this anime has been given the right amount of care and attention. Nothing is underbaked here, and fortunately, nothing is overdone either. This is one of the best, most consistently well animated anime that I've ever seen. Something that is even more impressive to me considering that this anime is 24 episodes long. Many anime that are just 12 episodes long can't even produce a single scene that compares to the high quality animation that you'll see in Delicious in Dungeon. Many people talk about how anime can make them hungry through how it animates food being prepared. Food Wars is an anime that often gets praised for that very thing, but for me, I've never had that experience. Until this anime. Watching as Senshi prepared some of the food legitimately made my belly rumble. Some of the food looks absolutely stunning in this anime, and I really wanted to try a lot of it. And I'm talking about monsters here, and as you'll quickly discover, Laios and Senshi will literally eat anything. The fact that they can make some of the most disgusting things seem so appetizing is a real testament to the animator's ability. And if they're able to make the food so mouth-watering, then it shouldn't come as a surprise that the action scenes were beautifully animated too. Also, as far as I can remember, there isn't any dodgy CGI in here too, which Studio Trigger anime are not always immune to. So that's a major positive, especially as it means all the monsters are animated in such awe-inspiring detail. Animation in anime only seems to be getting better and better, especially more recently. I'm happy to say that, at least in my opinion, Delicious in Dungeon is another anime pushing the medium even further. However, what really shocked me was how strong the narrative was. Yeah, manga readers were really hyping up this anime, but they'll literally hype up anything, yet this time the hype was deserved. First of all, there is so much thought and detail put into how each monster operates. To eat these monsters, they must first defeat them and kill them. No monster is killed in an exactly identical way, and it was genuinely fascinating learning about these fictitious monsters. Even the cooking tutorials had a lot of depth to them. Unsurprisingly, given the amount of thought that went into the monsters, it should come as no shock that the detail extends to both the characters and the world. Delicious in Dungeon has some of the best world building that I've ever seen in an anime, and again, it's something that slowly creeps up on you. This is a world that feels lived in, what with its many races and countries and conflicts that have spanned many years. As the characters travel deeper into the dungeon, so does the narrative into the world's history. Every reveal feels like an extra piece being added to the puzzle, perfectly explaining why certain characters act certain ways and why certain things happen in the series. The layers are slowly and massively peeled away, showcasing far more depth and intricate detail to not just the world, but the characters too.
Like onions!
Every now and then, you'll learn something about one of the characters that makes you go, wait, what? Or, are you serious? The characters are excellent in this series, but I'll talk about them in just a second. Let's just briefly talk about the music here. I wouldn't say the soundtrack is a standout element of this anime, but I do think it's good. It really fits the aesthetic of the anime and makes the cooking scenes in particular feel quite cozy and relaxing. Also, I really like the first opening for the anime, Sleepwalking Orchestra by Bumper Chicken. By the way, the name of the band alone should let you know that they were the perfect choice to do an opening for this anime. Personally, I enjoy Bumper Chicken's openings, but they never usually stick with me that much, at least compared to other openings. But I do find myself listening to Delicious in Dungeon's first opening quite frequently. The second opening I don't really listen to. It's not bad, but just not really for me, although I do think it's quite catchy, and I feel the reverse about the ending songs. I can't really remember the first ending song that much, but I remember thinking that it was alright, but the second ending song I absolutely adore. I just love it. I think it's a great song and I listen to it quite often. And with all the technical mumbo jumbo out of the way, let's talk about this anime's incredible characters.
No way you're getting me to wear that.
If you wore this, Marcille, we think you'd look real cute.
Now for the sake of time, I'm only going to be talking about the main 4 characters in detail in this video. A lot of that is to do with the fact that a lot of the supporting characters I feel are really going to get a moment to shine next season, so I want to save some of my thoughts on them for a second video. And also, it's hard to talk about characters like Kabru without going into spoiler territory, and that is something I would definitely want to save for a future video. Also, Izutsumi fans, I'm really sorry, but I won't be talking about her here. Like all the other characters, she is awesome, and I'm sure I'll have a lot more to say about her after they release season 2, but for now, let's focus on our core group, starting with Laios. I love Laios. He's my favourite character in the anime, and he's also one of my favourite characters in anime in general. Laios is just such a legitimately nice guy, and he puts everyone before himself. He's a real leader, and it's no surprise that he's able to get many people to follow him. As the show itself even presents him, he really does act like a dog. always protecting the people he cares about and showing an endless supply of loyalty even to those who no longer travel with him. I love how fascinated he is with monsters, and that Falin's rescue in many ways becomes an excuse for him to live his fantasy of eating those monsters. He's like a little kid, eager to try everything and very much lacking in the self-awareness to see what people really think of him. He's a pure soul, and his relationships were always the most interesting to me. Him and Falin are two birds of a feather, sharing the exact same brain cell. You can tell that they're both very close siblings, and I don't doubt that had the roles been reversed, Falin also would have rushed right into that dungeon to rescue her brother. Laios is a bit weird and often creeps out the rest of the group due to his eccentricities, but his courageous heart and willingness to help out literally anyone make him very endearing. There are no ulterior motives with Laios. He just genuinely wants to learn about everything, about the dungeon, about magic, about monsters, and about you. I'm very curious to see what they do with Laios' character in season 2, as I've heard that he has quite a sad backstory in the manga. And for such a kind man to have had such a potentially awful life for so long may just break my heart. But we'll get to that if and when we get to it. I might be saying something controversial here, but I'm surprised Marcille is as popular as she is. Don't get me wrong, I think she's quite funny, and I like that she's consistently the butt of the joke in the show. It makes her very entertaining to watch, but personally I don't find her as interesting as the other major characters. Her relationship with Falin certainly is interesting, and I look forward to seeing the climax of it, but outside of that, she mainly just complains and moans, so I'm surprised so many people find her so endearing. Maybe it's because she complains and moans all the time that when silly things happen to her, it's even funnier. But I'll be honest, I always like learning about the other three characters more. I do like Marcille, and she does get good character development over the course of season 1. She is the most outspoken member of the group when it comes to eating dungeon monsters, as the thought of doing it revolts her, but she does it anyway because they need their strength so they can save Falin. Marcille digs deep within herself to find the strength necessary to do what must be done so that she can rescue the person most dearest to her. I might not be completely in love with Marcille's character like everyone else seems to be, but I do like her, and I look forward to seeing how much further her character progresses and develops in season 2. Chilchuck, by comparison, is quite underrated, I feel. He's sort of useless in fights and acts like he's only in it for the money, but it's very obvious that Chilchuck cares greatly for the entire group and that his strengths lie outside of battle. And knowing that, it is quite impressive that he still fights alongside everyone and throws himself into danger for the sake of the group. Weirdly, Chilchuck feels like the biggest enigma of the group. Every other character, what you see is what you get. You just need to learn about their backstory. But Chilchuck seems very desperate to hide his own feelings and reveals so little of himself to others. I don't know why he is that way, and I don't know if we'll ever find out, but it makes him very intriguing to me. Plus when he moans and whines, I usually understand where he's coming from. Marcille, on the other hand, usually just complained about the exact same thing every single episode, which is why I got tired of it. Chilchuck is an invaluable member of the team, and I liked watching as his hard exterior slowly softened and he opened himself up, not just for his own sake, but at times so that other members of the group would feel more comfortable opening themselves up too. The last main member of the group is Senshi. Senshi grew on me very quickly, and considering that he was not an original member of the group, he fit in perfectly and gelled well with the other personalities in the group. Like Laios, he has a very sad backstory, but also like Laios, Senshi is a very kind man. He uses cooking as a way to help and heal those around him. He also has a vast knowledge of the dungeon and its creatures, and he's often able to provide a new perspective on the dungeon for the other characters. He's very dedicated to his craft and loves cooking, but loves even more seeing the satisfied faces of those that eat his cooking. It is funny whenever someone doesn't appreciate his talent, or Izutsumi doesn't eat with proper table manners, and he becomes a stern father. Senshi, like the rest of the characters, really embodies what Delicious in Dungeon is. It's this very funny, sometimes quite silly show about cooking and eating fictional creatures, but at the centre is something far darker and more complicated. Delicious in Dungeon is not what I expected. I kind of expected this to be a slice of life show about cooking, but it is far more than that. It's a show about healing and camaraderie. And there's nothing that illustrates camaraderie more in my mind than a group of people sitting around a campfire eating delicious food together after a difficult day. Please watch this anime. They have already confirmed a second season, which from how it looks to me seems like it will likely be the final season too. So I'm very hopeful that this anime will stick the landing, but given the incredible animation, brilliant voice acting, amazing characters, exceptional world building and one of a kind narrative, I have full faith that Delicious in Dungeon will do just that. But that's what I think. What about you? What what is your opinion on Delicious in Dungeon? Who's your favourite character and why? Do you think I was a little too harsh on Marcille in this video? I do like her, I just like the others a lot more. Also, are you excited for Season 2 of Delicious in Dungeon? Please let me know the answers to all those questions, as well as your general thoughts, down in the comments below. And whilst you're down there, do hit the like button. It significantly boosts this video in the YouTube algorithm, and if you're feeling especially generous, then do consider subscribing too. I'm hoping to hit 1000 subscribers before the end of the year, and it's looking very doable. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this video, I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.